Welcome into the live stream here from McCready and Siskey, powered by Rain Total Body Fuel. I'm Neal, it's Tyler.
What it is?
How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you, brother?
I'm good. Been a busy day.
Yeah, man.
Been a busy day.
Get your depth chart done today.
Working hard on it, man. It's right over there in the corner. You see the interactive?
I do. The interactive
You like that?
depth chart. I do. I like that.
You like that?
It's a lot of work.
Oh, so much work. God, hours and days spent on that. Do you like the part where it revolves? Isn't that kind of cool?
That and I like the holograms.
Yeah, I like those too. The only problem with the holograms is that if the lighting's not perfect, they just don't look right.
Yeah, no doubt.
I like how what I love is the thing that does like that. That's the portal.
Ooh,
That's
the depth chart portal.
I've added a portal to the depth chart where if a player gets demoted,
okay,
he doesn't go like down from 1 to 2. He goes down into the portal and then back into number 2 line.
Is there when you go into the portal? Is there a side stop for OnlyFans before you get back to the depth chart?
Yes. There's a camera. There's a camera that
Is it aim in the shower?
I need to put like a water feature on the depth chart. That way. Yeah.
Here we go. I haven't even cracked it open yet.
We'll open it, then we'll get to Austin's. We'll start the show, then we'll get to Austin's super chat.
You want super chat it now before we get started?
Because you hate this topic.
I do.
No, we'll do it on the show.
All right,
here we go. We're gonna get rolling. Thanks everybody for being here with us. By the way, hit the like button, please. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. It's free. It's free.
It doesn't cost $1.
If you're on Spotify, I think it's follow, or whatever the case may be. We'd love for you to follow us.
And also on social media, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter.
Yeah.
TikTok's rolling.
It's all right there. Yeah, TikTok. We're big on
you a fan.
We're big on TikTok out here. Yeah,
we're getting there.
All right, here we go.
I'm ready.
Welcome into another edition of McCready and Siskey, powered by Rain Total Body Fuel.
Woo.
I'm Neal McCready. That is one Tyler Siskey here on this Thursday, August the 3rd. The football season officially arrives.
She's here, boys.
Tonight, who plays tonight? It's the
Jets, the Jets, Jets.
The New York Jets, a 2-point favorite versus the Cleveland Browns tonight on NBC. It's the Hall of Fame game there in Canton, Ohio.
We'll get Wilson will be the starting quarterback for the New York Jets. We'll talk about it in a minute. I'm actually, or getting out of the way right now. I'm interested in watching to see if he's learned anything. I think Aaron Rodgers is really trying to take him under his wing. Hard Knocks is with the Jets this year too, so they tee that off next week. I think the next Tuesday, I think, is premiere of that, the 8th, if I'm not mistaken. It's one of my favorite shows. I love it.
Yeah. The one with the Lions last year was fantastic.
Yeah, it makes you automatically pull a little bit for those teams, a little bit during the season. But the Jets are 2-point favorites against the Browns, and my public service announcement is if you are inclined to wager on a preseason NFL football game,
you got issues.
We just call me.
You got problems.
We'll help you. I'll be glad to get you in the in the right lane.
You got a call right now?
Yeah, I got a call right now. Well,
we need to get him on the show.
Yeah. I'm going to say, doing the show, you want to come on?
He's going to be like, nope.
Nope.
That's a guarantee. Tell him I said hello, though.
Oh, now. Neal says hello. There you go.
All right. So we'll see if President Obama joins the show.
Yeah. I'll send him the link. He's going to be like, I'm playing golf.
Yeah. All right. Austin Blancett with the super chat says, yes or no? Is there a Pac-12 conference in 2 years? All right. This is kind of a trick question. Is there technically a conference of 12 teams that calls itself the Pac-12? Sure. Is it going to look anything remotely like it looks like today? Absolutely not. Not a chance. No way.
Well, no, we got 2 of them leaving next year, right? And then 1 or 3 leaving next year, and then probably 4 or 5 after today. So
I'd guess 6 to 8 of the current Pac 9 are out.
Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna say it is called Pac-12. I do not think it. I think it's going to be a combination of the Pac-12 leftovers, the Mountain West, and something else. So there you go. I'm not talking about teams. It's against my religion. All right, let's jump into this, Neal. On Monday, we broke down the Eastern divisions of the NFL with the NFC East and the AFC East. Today, let's talk a little bit about. This should be good for our fans because this is right in our major listening areas, the NFC South and the AFC South. All right.
Okay.
So we'll start in the NFC South. Let's start off with everybody's favorite, the New Orleans. This is for vibing, the New Orleans Aints.
I will tell you before we dive into the Saints and everyone.
Let's do that.
I forgot to do this at the beginning. We're brought to you by Reign Total Body Fuel. 300 milligrams of natural caffeine, BCAAs, electrolytes, zero sugar. It's got what you need to push the limits and achieve your goals. Check them out on Instagram at Reign Body Fuel to learn more.
And there are some very soft people that listened to our show the other day and did not like my use of the English language. And so
Right.
I decided to double down.
We were working on. You had a streak going of not using
I had a streak.
that word.
I had a streak. But I'm doubling down today, and I'm going with the Red Dragon.
Okay.
So, Bob, I'm just letting you know the rain's coming.
Okay.
All right. Back to the NFC South. Let's start with the New Orleans Aints. Okay. For a lot of Saints fans, I know they're on here. Lots of Saints fans in this parts of the world. What do you think? What's your thoughts, concerns? Where you at with the Saints going into the fall?
I think they improved at quarterback with Derek Carr. I think they're one of those organizations that the window was open for a long time. They kept it open. It closed on them finally. And look, they're pretty good defensively. It's a weak division. I'd probably pick them to win it if I had to pick today. But if you told me that the Panthers won or the Bucs won, I mean, I'd get it. It's fine. It's not a particularly good division. But I like generally where the Saints are in it.
Yeah, I'm going. Obviously with the addition of Derek Carr, I think they're going to feel this. Alvin Kamara's got a suspension coming. It's just a matter of how long.
Yeah.
It's coming. I think met with Roger Goodell. Was it yesterday he met with Goodell?
I'm not sure.
I know he's meeting or has met with Goodell either yesterday or today or sometime, but they're going to feel that. I think, my whole thing, Michael Thomas, one of the best talented receivers in the league, he just doesn't play. He always has soft tissue injuries. He really hasn't. I mean, when was the last time the guy was an effective wide receiver in the NFL? He's talented, but now you got Chris Olave is a dude, good player.
Yep.
They got some pieces defensively. I think they're really good. One of my all-time favorite people, Demario Davis, is back at linebacker. I think they got Brian Barisi in the draft. I think they got some things, but they're aging on defense. You know what I mean? And I love Demario, but Demario's been playing for a minute. He's from Brandon, Mississippi, Arkansas State Red Wolf. But I got them finishing second.
Okay.
We'll go over who I think.
Okay.
Who's first in a minute, but I think they'll finish second in the division. All right, let's go with the Carolina Panthers. Where are you at on Carolina?
Well, you know this. I'm a really big Bryce Young fan. I think Bryce Young's going to be a special quarterback. And if you told me that he gets through the rookie stuff quickly, I'd buy it. He'll have some rookie struggles. They all do. If you told me he doesn't have many, I'd believe you. I don't know enough about them to dive deep into it. This is not where I've been spending my focus here lately. I've obviously been turning attention to Ole Miss and getting ready for SEC, and I've been more obsessed with conference realignment than I should be, and that kind of thing. But look, I like like I told you a minute ago, if you told me the Panthers won, I'm not stunned. Not who I'd pick, but I wouldn't be stunned. Is that your friend?
Yeah, he said, "Oh, it'll be fun. It'll be funny. I'm just in the car rider line." All right. Carolina Panthers. I am picking the Carolina Panthers to win the NFC South.
Based on their defense?
Defense is really good.
Yep.
It's back. That's obviously a big part of it.
Mm-hmm.
But the pieces that they've added, Miles Sanders is now the running back over from Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
Adam Thielen is now a wide receiver in Carolina.
From Minnesota.
Mm-hmm. And you got you got some guys. You got DJ there. I mean, they got some guys. He's got weapons around him with a good defense. This is a atrocious division, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I think they win it. I got them over New Orleans. I think the only hesitancy with me would be with Bryce Young being a rookie, and they all seem to find those struggles no matter how good they are. As long as he doesn't, if he has a normal year, he doesn't have to be the best quarterback in the league. Just be a top 20 quarterback in the league, and I think they win the division.
Oh, I think he'll be that.
If he's a top 20 quarterback in the league, the Carolina Panthers will win the division.
Am I crazy to think that Bryce Young's got a chance to be a special quarterback? I know there are some limitations with his physical size and stuff, but
he's different, dude. He's different in between the ears. I do not think you're crazy. The only thing that
guy just won games like the last couple of years. It's not to get back on the Alabama thing for a minute. It's the part of the Alabama thing that I am most interested in, though, is the last couple of years. They won, and they win, and they always win. But they looked a little more mortal, and there were some times that it was Bryce Young that was the difference.
Well, he won them several games. Texas game, I mean, several games that I can remember. Like, if they didn't have him, they wouldn't have won.
If they just had a good quarterback,
right,
they wouldn't have won.
But no matter how good you are in college, the NFL is a different beast. Now, Peyton Manning struggled. You know what I mean? Like the greatest of all time struggle in the NFL. The only one that had what you'd say, had a great rookie year would be Tom Brady, and he didn't even start the season. He came in as a backup, right? So they all struggle. Anyway, let's go to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I just don't know anything about them, to be honest with you. I mean, they're that team that they went for it, paid a lot of money for Tom Brady and all those guys, and they got a title out of it. It worked, but kind of feels like the Bills coming in.
I think they're going to struggle a little bit. Quarterback, they don't know who the quarterback's going to be.
In the NFL, that's bad.
That's bad. They have a quarterback battle between Kyle Trask and Baker Mayfield. That's their options. Okay.
You sort of know what Baker is at this point. I mean, you know what I mean? He's done it for a minute. You sort of know what he is.
You're going to laugh at me when I tell you this. I like Baker Mayfield. Well, I get teased about it all the time. I like Baker Mayfield. It's just me personally. I'm sorry.
And I get it, but he's got this body of work that's just kind of blah.
Okay, I have no argument against you on the Baker Mayfield. I just like him.
Okay.
I got my eyes drilled out in the office this morning when we were talking about NFL quarterbacks because I like Baker Mayfield. But they got Mike Evans. They got Chris Godwin. They got some guys, right? I mean, they got pieces, but they're aging pieces.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Mike Evans been in the league a decade.
He's a dude, though.
Oh, he's a stud.
He's a dude. But look, I'm with it. I think they finished third in the division. So I got Carolina winning it. I have the Saints finish second. I have the Bucs third. And at DFL in the division, I have the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah. I would go Saints, Panthers, Bucs, Falcons.
So we're close. We're literally just swapping 1 and 2.
Yeah, and I'm just kind of going Saints instead of Panthers because I expect Bryce to struggle enough of the season that they get in too big of a hole to win.
All right. I think the Falcons have a chance, and this is sad for me to say because I grew up a Falcons fan. Hour from the house. That's all I got on TV growing up, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they used to shove, the old TV deal used to shove the local team down your throat. Shove it.
I remember living in Alabama. You got the Falcons shoved down your throat every week.
And back then, they were in the Western Division, right? And so you had the 49ers.
Oh, yeah.
Even though they were the Falcons, they were in the West. And so they were in a division with the 49ers. Well, the national game of the week would be on that afternoon window. But by gosh, if the Falcons were on the left coast playing San Francisco, you were getting the Falcons in San Francisco like you're going to watch a 48-0 drubbing. They were terrible. So this pains me to say. I think Arthur Blank. Like I thought about this last night. I went home last night, nothing on TV. I turned it on Prime Video, and you know what the first movie suggested to me was? I haven't watched in a long time, but it's one of my favorites. Major League.
Okay.
I think Arthur Blank is playing Major League. I think they're tanking. They have the worst roster I have ever seen.
Are they tanking for Caleb Williams?
They are tanking for Caleb Williams.
Well, I mean,
they may get there.
There's worse strategies.
It's between them and one other team. Between them and the Arizona Cardinals. I think that's the only two teams that have the capability of not winning a football game this year. You got Ritter's your quarterback. That's your starting quarterback. You got Kyle Pitts, phenomenal talent. Just don't know if he's going to show up to play. You don't know what you're getting. Okay. Drake London. They keep trying to shove Drake London down my face like he's Randy Moss. I don't get that. You can't name one other player on their team. Bijan Robinson is going to be the starting quarterback, running back, but that's it. You can't name another player on their team. They are Major League. They are tanking. They are putting together a terrible roster to go out and see if they can win games. They may not win a game, and it's sad.
What round did they take Ritter in?
Third or fourth.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, nothing against him. He's just not going to lead a crappy roster to the freaking promised land.
As CC Simon says here, is the Division II blah and mediocre for them to tank?
No.
To tank effectively?
No. I don't like. I'm going to do this. All right. Falcons. I'm going to Google this.
Marcus Mariota, by the way, is in Philadelphia now as the backup to Jalen Hurts.
All right. Here's the Atlanta Falcons depth chart. You ready for this? Wide receiver 1, Drake London, who we just talked about. They got Kadarrell Hodge, Frank Darby. Their tight end is Parker Hess. Mecole Pruitt is their backup tight end. They have Jake Matthews, which is good. They do have a good offensive line. Centers Drew Dahlman, Chris Lindstrom, right guard. Caleb McGarry is the right tackle. Their running backs are going to be Cordero Patterson and Bijan Robinson.
Okay.
Desmond Ritter, Logan Woodside. Oh, how about this? They got Felipe Franks playing tight end. Straight off their website.
Oh, the former quarterback?
Yeah, that was their backup last year.
Oh.
And I love me some Felipe Franks. He's a great kid during recruiting and all that stuff. But, dude, what are we doing? I mean, does that sound like a team that's going to win any games in the NFL? They major leagued us. All right, so we think we're pretty good there. Let's go AFC South.
All right.
AFC South. We got the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think we can just all go in agreement that they're going to win the division.
For sure. And this division's weak enough with Houston, with Indianapolis that, I mean, they could go 5-1 in the division.
Maybe undefeated. Tennessee's the only one they somehow seem to split with. No, or is it Indianapolis that they split with every year for some reason?
Well, they've messed it up with Indianapolis a good bit, but the Colts have some issues right now, to say the least.
All right. All right. So let's take Jacksonville out. We know I think they're going to be good. I think they're going to make a run at putting together, like you're talking about, because a weak division, putting together probably a better record than they actually are.
Yeah.
For the playoff seeding and all that stuff. Let's talk about the rest of the division. Between Houston, Tennessee, and Indianapolis, who do you have finishing second?
Tennessee.
Because of the veteran quarterback?
Yeah, just veteran quarterback. Vrabel's been there a long time. They're never awful. They're at least average in most spots. Look, I think Houston's going to be much improved. I think D'Amico Ryans is going to do a great job, but they were horrible last year. It is rare.
That's why they had number 2 pick.
It's rare for a team to go from horrible to second place. I mean, it can happen. They weren't just a bad team. They weren't just a cellar dweller. They were really, really bad. I mean, Lovie Smith screwed them at the end by winning a game. I mean, they were that bad.
Well, he's getting fired.
So it's hard. It's hard for me to pick them ahead of the Tennessee Titans.
Flipped them the bird on the way out the door.
I mean, if you told me that they ended up ahead of the Colts because the Colts completely implode, I buy it. But I'm going Jacksonville, Tennessee, Indianapolis, Houston.
All right. My rest of y'all's, I'm taking the Houston Texans to finish second. After you just went on that rant. I think they're really good up front, offensive line wise.
Okay.
Both tackles are shored up. I think they're doing better on defense. I want to see Will Anderson cut loose in the NFL. I think he's going to make an immediate impact, kind of the Micah Parsons impact with Dallas. I think he's going to make that kind of impact on Houston's defense.
I could see that. I was talking to both of Ole Miss's now sophomore tackles yesterday, Pettis and Williams, and I was asking them about guys that they faced last season who kind of forced them to, look at the film and go, okay, here's what I have to improve. Here's what, and they both immediately said, well, they said two guys, both of them independently. I wasn't talking to them at the same time. They both said Will Anderson and BJ Olajari.
Yeah.
Were the two guys that were eye openers.
They are. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was Williams. It might have been Micah Pettis was talking about how it was obvious when you went up against Will Anderson, it was obvious what a smart player he was. Beyond just his physical skills and his quickness, he really anticipated what was coming next. He was a very bright player.
Yeah. CC Simon says, Texans second, is this a troll day? No, that's how I feel. I think because here's the thing. I got Tennessee finishing third, and here's why. We had this discussion today. I'd be curious to get your thoughts. If you were starting an NFL franchise today and you got to pick any quarterback that you wanted, Ryan Tannehill, we could only come up with one quarterback that we would take behind Tannehill.
Baker Mayfield.
Well, he was a split. He got split. He was 30. Clay picked Tannehill, but Baker Mayfield was definitely in the discussion. He was 30th. But it was Desmond Ridder.
Okay.
But we literally went through the whole league. Every starting quarterback, that's who you're going to – I mean, so, look, he's good at what he does and all that stuff, but I don't know, man. I don't see them –
Austin with the super chat along these lines.
Yeah, that's why
books will be written in the future regarding how badly Tennessee sold their opportunity to win the title. They backed the wrong horse in Tannehill.
I don't know if they backed the wrong horse. I don't know if they ever brought the right horse in. And here's what blows my mind a little bit about Tennessee is free agent wise, and maybe it's the owner just don't want to spend money or whatever it is. They don't have state taxes. All right, I want you to think about this. Between Houston and Tennessee, both of those states do not have state taxes.
Yep.
All right. That's a lot of extra coin on the old contract.
Sure.
Because you get, if you're playing in that division, all right, you get taxed on where you play the game.
Right. So you can play half your games.
You can play half your games at home, which is no state tax, which is a lot of money when you're making significant amount of money.
You're going to play one in Texas.
You're going to play one in Texas or one in Tennessee. So between those two teams, I don't understand how they've never really just hammered the free agency market. Hammered it. Like you look at somebody.
And you would think that Nashville would be an attractive place for an NFL.
I just don't know why they can't win that when it comes to contracts, but it is what it is. But I think the Titans are, if they can run the ball and Derek's rolling, they're a whole new team because they're solid on defense. They do what they do. I just don't. I like Houston, man. I like D'Amico Ryans.
Okay.
All right, last team in this division. The last one we're talking about is the Indianapolis Colts. I think they're in dire straits, brother.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I think they're in dire straits. I really like we talked about the other day.
The Taylor thing that's going on is just sort of the surface level stuff. But whenever stuff like that happens, you can almost bank that the rest of the building has drama.
Yeah. If I knew Jonathan Taylor, I would say, look, he just hired a new agent in March or whenever it was. He needs to go fire the agent that's screwing this up and go and just beg to Mr. Irsay, hey, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. I'll straighten up, whatever. Think about this. Jim Irsay, he's a different dude now.
Yes.
Do you know he is paying right now $20 million to relocate a whale from Miami to Seattle? Did you know that?
I did not.
He's paying $20 million.
A whale, like a
killer whale,
mammal?
an orca.
Gotcha.
He is Shamu. He is relocating it from Miami to Seattle. Not only that, is he's leasing water, like land in the water, and putting a giant net up with two dolphins so it can be acclimated to the climate before they release him for a year.
How are they doing it?
They're flying him in the plane.
Oh wow, That's a big plane.
That's a big plane. $20 million. However, your starting running back, you're not going to give 10 to. That tells me something. All right, this guy gave Andrew Luck. He's one of the most generous people.
So wait a minute.
You didn't hear about that?
No. So how do they get?
I don't know.
You're going to send me down a whale hole. How do they get the water into the plane, and then how do you get the? How do you like what? How do you get the whale into the plane?
Well, first of all, whales are mammals, so they don't. They just need to be like wet. You don't have to have them in water. They breathe oxygen.
I get that, but like
you don't have to.
There aren't a lot of entrances to the plane that are big enough to put
They'll figure something out,
a whale into it.
It cost him $20 million, so I'm sure it's not cheap. But here's the point: he's paying $20 million for that. This dude gave Andrew Luck $26 million after he quit playing.
Yeah,
he's a generous human being. But now he's flipping the bird to Jonathan Taylor. He's saying, "Freak you, Jonathan Taylor." Frou you, Jonathan Taylor.
Is Jonathan Taylor,
you're a turd. You're a butthole. That's what he's saying.
Does Jonathan Taylor dislike whales? Maybe
I don't know.
I mean, is Jonathan Taylor?
It's just wild to me, man.
Was Jonathan Taylor like an investor in SeaWorld? Is that where this goes? I mean,
I have no idea.
There's a conflict here.
Maybe he ate the wrong thing. Maybe he ate well in Japan or something. I don't know. But it's just wild to me that's occurring. But
I've never even heard of anybody eating whale. I'm sure that they do.
Make lamps out of them, right? Lamp oil.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
We'll see.
Can you eat whale? What's whale meat like?
I don't know. I don't like fish. I will eat it.
When you lived in Mobile, you weren't into fish?
Fresh fish.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was. But I didn't like, you know what was awesome was we had, because you get it super fresh fish.
Tuna.
So Brett Rutledge was the guy I worked with. His dad was the headmaster at St. Paul's. Big fisherman. And, dude, he'd go fishing all night. And he, like, worked. You know, that was an extra job for him. He would sell it. But he would bring back cobia, snapper, whatever he caught.
Yeah.
And he would bring it, and he was cleaning his fish in the morning. He'd go work all day. I mean, he'd stay up for 3 days in a row sometimes. But he would give us, you know, fresh fish that he caught. And we had on the grill, had one of those, it was like a press that you put it in between and you could flip it back and forth with fish so it wouldn't fall apart. It was awesome. Put it on the grill, lemon pepper, good stuff.
Yeah, I used to just like, we'd get that. There was a market in Spanish Fort. I guess it's technically in Daphne, but it was right across from Spanish Fort. You could go over there on a Saturday morning and get the tuna that had just been caught.
Yeah.
That morning.
It's on point, man.
And, oh, my gosh.
All right.
I mean, you didn't put anything on it. Just a little olive oil, some salt, some peppers.
Yeah, you
squeeze a lemon, 30 seconds each side, take it off.
Less is more.
Fantastic. It was amazing. Stuff. And then you come, it's the one thing, honestly, the one thing about Mobile that I miss. And I loved Mobile. We made more friends in a short period of time in Mobile. But I never missed the weather. It was always hot, always humid. I got exhausted from it. And all the rain, the floods, and all that got old.
The rain,
yeah. But man, I do miss it. I miss the fresh fish.
My man Brett Rutledge was
Market by the Bay.
Market by the Bay.
Yep.
Big fisherman. I was laughing. I was scrolling through TikTok. I meant to call him and tell him this. I was scrolling through. It was late one night. That's why I didn't call him. I was scrolling through TikTok, and it was some like PETA kind of person that was mad about people catching sharks, and they were talking trash about that deep sea fishing rodeo down there, and they start bringing up pictures, and Brett's in every picture holding up a shark. He caught. Hey, at one time he had the world record for a bull shark. I don't know if it still exists. I know when I was in coaching at St. Paul's, he had the world record for bull shark. He caught like some 550-pound bull shark, like 200 feet off the beach, and right in front of where Kiva Dunes is, where it used to be Gulf Shores Plantation. I mean, he's a big shark guy. He catches, but you go out there with him, man. It's a different life. I'll tell you off the air because I don't want to get him in trouble, but it's a different life out there on the water now. He is no joke on the water, and he knows where every single spot is in the Gulf. I mean, he is fisher extraordinaire. All right, let's talk about this. This is my man Bob's segment.
Okay.
All right. This will be relatively quick here before we get to college. I was talking to Bob on the phone yesterday, and he had a great fact. I guess he saw somewhere, and I thought it would be interesting to talk about. For 20 straight years in the NFL, for 20 straight years, there has been a team that finished dead last in the division the year before that won the division the next year.
Okay.
So last year was the Jaguars. Okay.
Okay.
So I wrote down here so you can see it. These are the teams that finished DFL in their division.
Okay.
Which one of these teams or multiple teams do you think can win it? The Browns in the AFC North.
No.
Okay. I would tend to agree with you on that. The Texans.
No.
The Broncos.
God, no.
Yeah, that's crazy. The Jets.
Absolutely a candidate.
The Jets, Jets. I'm with you on that. They are a candidate.
Definitely a candidate.
The Washington Commanders football team, Redskins, or whatever the fuck they're going to call them now.
Probably not, but they're not. I mean, I'm not just going screaming no because they have some, but probably not. No.
The Arizona Cardinals.
No.
All right.
No.
Let's real brief news and noteworthy, something to keep an eye on. First of all, I think they're going to be competing for DFL in the National Football League for pick number 1.
Yeah.
Kyler Murray may not be back till like week 5, 6, something like that.
Yeah.
He tore his ACL in December.
I know.
Well, when did this become a 12-month-long process? Because you know he had a great surgeon. You know he should have been getting with the right rehab. That's a long time for ACL these days. Long time.
I mean,
I've personally seen Eddie Jackson tear his ACL in April and be ready to play by August.
I just got through watching Deshaun Ruffin, who tore his in late January of a year, basically just not get back.
I don't understand it, man. That's weird for me. I don't know. All right. Your Chicago Bears.
I mean, maybe because that division is so wide open. I mean, Minnesota's going to be good, but they're not unbeatable. I think people look at Detroit and think this is their year. Green Bay doesn't have Rodgers anymore. They're probably taking a step back. I'm not convinced that Justin Fields is a division champion quarterback. I hope he is. He seems like a really nice guy. He's awfully erratic.
Our friend Daniel Cotto said, "What's DFL? Do you want to tell him what DFL means, Neal?"
Doggone freaking last.
It means dead.
Don't.
Dead, frick frockin', frou last.
There you go. That's what it means.
Freaking soft ass people. All right. And then I think this is a cheat sheet because the Panthers, Saints, and Falcons all tied for DFL last year. So long as one of them win it, I think the trend continues technically, right?
Yeah, and one of them will win it.
Yeah, I don't think the Bucs are winning it again.
My bet here would be Saints or Jets.
Yeah, I would say Jets. If you made me bet, I'm not hating on the Bears thing. I said that this morning, got made fun of. On that. And speaking of the Jets, you had a Jets fan today that made me laugh real hard.
I saw this.
I sent it to you. So tell her who it is. He was on TikTok. He sent you a nice little, had me crying out loud today.
I don't spend any time on TikTok, so I missed this. This is our good friend Dutch NYC1.
Welcome, Dutch.
So on TikTok, he comments. I guess that's how it works.
Yes.
What's up with that guy's head on the left? Then he says later, it's like those alien skulls you see. Weird. LOL. Thanks, Dutch. Thank you, Dutch.
Hey, it was the video was you were sitting to the side, and I think Cole did you dirty because I think he had to format the video, to fit or whatever it was.
Uh-huh.
And it did low-key stretch the back of your skull.
Oh.
Cole did you dirty.
Yeah, I mean.
You look very elongated on the back. Thanks, Cole.
Thanks, Dutch. I won't get a complex about this at all, buddy. There's no chance. There's no chance that I'll now stare in the mirror at my bald head and go, what's wrong with me? There's no chance at all. No, you're good.
It's a good time to call BetterHelp.
You didn't do any damage to my psyche. Hey,
you got any bills to pay?
Well, I mean, we don't, but I'm going to give them a freebie
Give
here.
a freebie.
BetterHelp.com/MPW. When When you need to train your brain to stay in problem-solving mode or recover from an insult about your physical appearance, get in touch with our friends at BetterHelp. Therapy's been a lifesaver for me before. It's maybe going to help again. If you think of giving therapy a try, BetterHelp's a great option. It's convenient, it's accessible, it's affordable, it's entirely online, and they will not shame you on the shape of your head. Nope. You'll get matched with a therapist after filling out a brief survey. You can switch therapist anytime if one of them happens to make fun of your head. When you want to be a better problem solver or feel better about the way that your bald head looks in the mirror, therapy can get you there. BetterHelp.com/MPW today. Get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp.com/MPW.
All right. That was great. Woo. All right. Let's shift to some college.
All right.
Have you done a Big Ten preview with any of your other compadres yet?
I did one with Matthew Stevens, covers Illinois.
Okay.
Talked about the Big Ten a good bit. A lot of interesting storylines in the Big Ten.
A lot of interesting storylines. All right, let's crank it up. I think I got them split over there in the divisions in case you need them. But let's talk about the Big Ten East. And for those who are unaware, that are listening in their car or wherever you may be, the Big Ten East, which is a mother, it's a very difficult division. Consists of Rutgers, Michigan, Michigan State, Ohio State, Maryland, Penn State, and Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk a little bit about the Big Ten East. Where you at, who you like, who you don't like.
I think this very clearly comes down to the Rutgers-Indiana game. It's really where that game is this year, is who I like. No, I mean, look, it's Ohio State. It's Michigan. Penn State's lurking there. I think Maryland's going to be a better team. I don't like where Michigan State's headed. I think Indiana, you and I both have friends on that staff.
Yep.
But I don't like their situation.
Just tough schedule, dude.
It's tough. It's a tough place. And then Rutgers is Rutgers. I'm in the group that thinks Michigan's perhaps a shade overrated this year.
Okay.
Just a little. And I kind of think Ohio State takes it back this time.
I think there are tiers to this thing. If you made me pick a winner today, I'm picking Michigan.
Okay.
I think they have the more established quarterback, more established running back. Yes, Ohio State has athletically and all that stuff. They have like Marvin Harrison Jr. Just absolutely.
He's a beast,
freakazoid. And
the question for Ohio State is very simple. Are they willing to do what Michigan's kind of done? And what Michigan has done is built so much of their program around that game. They're going to bully Ohio State. They're going to be big, strong, all that stuff. They're going to bully Ohio State, maybe make it where it's harder to beat some other teams. But they're going to go after them. Ohio State has kind of built an SEC program up north.
Yeah, and it started when Urban Meyer got there.
And so sometimes that makes them, at least last year, susceptible a little bit to what Michigan did, and it worked. I'm curious to see if Ohio State has adjusted to that.
You know, it's just quarterback, right? I mean, I'm sure they're going to have 45 quarterbacks that are really good. They've never not had a good quarterback. So that's not it. It's just the getting out of the gate. They got to play Notre Dame early. They actually opened their first game as a conference game against Indiana. They have to go to Michigan this year. You know, Michigan has their quarterback back, their running back. They got a ton of receivers. They're big, they're physical, the whole deal. They've been recruiting well. And, you know, the only thing, I can be honest with you, the only thing I think slips Michigan up is Michigan. You know, I think they can roll through that league.
Can they win the national title?
That's a whole different story. Depends on who you get matched up with and all that stuff. And yada, yada, yada.
Can they beat Georgia, Alabama, LSU?
I think they're closer this year than they've been. Like, I think how about this? I think they are a better team today than they were when they played in the college football playoff 2 years ago.
Okay.
I do. I like them. And I think they're going to be really good. So, in that same tier, obviously, is Ohio State. It's almost like you can flip the coin. The only reason I went with Michigan over Ohio State is now that game this year is at Michigan.
You ever been to that game?
No. Mm-mm.
I'd love to go to that game.
Never been. I've never played or coached in either one of those places. So I've never been at all.
I always get that question, like, what games are on your bucket list? And I always have a hard time thinking of many, but that's one.
Yeah.
I'd love to, I don't really care where, Ohio State or
Mhm.
Michigan. I'd love to go to that game and just experience it.
That Army Navy was on mine.
That's number one on
Yeah.
mine.
So I got some games like that. I would like to go to a game at Notre Dame. I've never had a chance to do that, coaching or playing or anything. So I've always wanted to do that.
Yeah, I've never been to that campus.
I want to do that. All right. Also in that tier, though, I mean, right below it, knocking on the door is Penn State. Dude, James Franklin's a freaking football coach. They're good recruiters. They build it their way. They continue to produce talent year in, year out. One of these years, and if it's not this, it may be this year. He's going to break through. Now the problem has been he's been up against Ohio State, and then since he's been there, Michigan has been good. You know what I'm saying? So It's a tough division. It's kind of like it's the same problem that teams in the SEC West face, not named Alabama and LSU. You just got to go through a lot of stuff to win the top of your division. To be first in a division that has the top two heavy is very difficult. But I think they're there. I'm with you with Maryland. I like what they're doing. Quick, you client. I think they're going to be better. They got quarterback back. Loxley's a stud. They're going to make some noise. Michigan State, I mean, they just got to replace a lot. But they've been recruiting well. I want to see what happens on the field. You know, it's just like that 2 years ago, they came out of nowhere, right? So that's there. And then our good friends in Indiana, Tom always has them playing hard, has them ready to play. They need a big year up there. They need a good year. They lost too many close games last year, had too many injuries.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big year for those guys, and obviously wish them nothing but best. And then Rutgers, I mean, you fall asleep on Rutgers, but Shiano has some guys playing hard, man. They're competitive every single week.
They're just in such a bad division. It's such a good division.
It's just a nightmare of a division.
Yeah.
All right, the West, your favorite division in the Big Ten.
Absolutely.
Do I even need to ask you who you think is going to be number one?
You want me to play the role or be serious?
Go ahead, do what you do.
I mean, in all seriousness, I think it's a 3-team race at the top.
Okay. Who are those 3 teams?
Maybe 4.
Tell me your top tier. Who you think's at the top?
In no order here:
Mhm.
Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Illinois.
Okay.
After that, the team that I think has a chance to surprise people and be significantly better than anyone thinks is Nebraska.
I was just about to say that.
If you told me Nebraska did some things, I'd buy it completely. And then Northwestern's a disaster, a total disaster. Purdue will be better, but there's rebuilding to be done there. So it's going to take them a minute. But then after that, I mean, Nebraska's going to be better. Look, Iowa, all the jokes about their offense are legit because their offense was abysmal last year. I mean, I watched 10 of their games, and it was brutal to watch offensively. They'll be better offensively this time around. I don't know that they'll be any more creative. They're going to be better at the quarterback position and better at some spots. Minnesota's got all the stuff going on with Fleck, whether it's fair or not. I don't think it is, but it's going on. They've been a real solid team, but they're not elite. The interesting 2 teams are Illinois. Bielema has sort of established his identity there. They were pretty good on defense a year ago.
They lost a lot, though.
They did. They lost a lot. And they're going with our friend Luke Altmaier at quarterback.
So he can be the starter?
That's what Matthew said. So I'll take his word for it since he's at practice and stuff.
Yeah. I think Wisconsin wins the league. My guys at Wisconsin. Quick you clients.
The division. I tend to agree. I think Wisconsin is 1. And then I think it's Iowa, maybe Nebraska, Minnesota, Illinois. It's all in a jumble.
Dude, the Wisconsin fans are going to lose their mind when on the first drive of the season on offense they get a first down by using the forward pass. It's going to blow their mind. They're going to be like, oh, gosh.
Well, Phil Longo's going to throw it.
He's going to throw it.
Yeah, they're going to throw the ball. Yeah.
That's the thing. I'm actually, all kidding aside, I'm curious. I mean, when was the last time you ever thought you'd see Wisconsin pushing the ball downfield?
Never. It's not what they do.
I mean, you could have gave me a list of Phil Longo destinations a mile long, and I would not have Wisconsin on there. It's a total shift from what they've done. But they got the guys in there. I'm a huge Luke Fickell fan. I think he's great. I love the whole staff. I got close friends on the staff. Many our good friend Jack Bicknell's the offensive line coach. Obviously Luke Fickell, Max runs recruiting, is a stud, one of the best I think in the country. And then Colin Hitchler, who I work with at South Alabama, is a co-defense coordinator. So got a bunch of friends up there. I think they're going to do great. I'm excited to see what they do.
Why is there no Wisconsin helmet in this?
I know, right? I need it because I haven't asked. I'm bad at that. You got to remind me of that kind of stuff. Iowa, I'm right there with you, though. I think Iowa's close. I think they're going to be good on defense again. Shocker. It's just offensively, man. Can they put it together? And they do play complementary to each other, but they got to figure out, because if they play Wisconsin and they get into a scoring contest, they're not going to win. That's why I have them going second. If you were last year, if you got Wisconsin and y'all going to butt heads against each other all day, okay, that's one thing. But now you got you got a team that can actually push the ball downfield, so that's going to give them problems. But I'm with you. The Nebraska Cornhuskers. Jeff Sims, transfer. I like Jeff. I think he's a talented kid.
Yeah.
They got him at quarterback. Eric Gilbert, blast from the past at his third different institution, started at LSU, went to Georgia, is now at Nebraska. He's pending a waiver. Okay.
Good luck.
But his may have legit stuff with the documentation and things like that.
He may mental health.
Yes.
Okay.
He may fit it. That dude, he was man. He can play. If they got the right, and the Matt Rule, big believer in Matt Rule. I think he's a great coach.
Me too. Matt Rule's proven to be a very excellent college coach. It didn't work out in Carolina. That's not necessarily a sign that you can't coach at the college level. Just sometimes the pro thing is quarterback related.
I think Minnesota's going to be solid. Illinois in that same class, they just lost so much. I like everything they do, but they lost a ton. See how they respond. And I'm with you, Northwestern's DFL. I don't think they have a chance.
We're brought to you by, we're still going, brought to you by Comer Heating and Air, Southern Air Conditioning and Heating, different names, same great products, people, and services. If you live in Oxford, Batesville, Tupelo, or the surrounding area, call Comer, 662-801-1777. If you live in Hernando, Memphis, or the surrounding area, call Southern, 662-429-4429.
All right. As you know, I think I want to make a public stance on this deal. I'm so tired of talking about college conference realignment. I understand it's taking over everything. I can't wait for August the 15th to get here because I'm just tired of talking about it. I don't like talking about it. Even people ask me outside of the podcast. It drives me nuts. But with that, I'm not going to talk about teams because it's not that the conference realignment bothers me and the topics. I feel like we've talked about every single team in America and what league they're going to go to. So whenever they accept the invitation, then we'll say, guess what? Guess who's in the Big 12 this time? But I wanted to ask you this. This is my problem with it. And we're not talking about teams. I want to ask them different talks about it because nobody seems to be talking about this. I think you're an opinion, and correct me if I'm wrong, that we're heading to a 3-league, 20-team, super conference kind of deal where you got, all these leagues. The SEC goes to 20, the Big 10 goes to 20, the Big 12, I guess, or whoever's going to go to 20.
I think the SEC and the Big 10 at some point are both going to be 20-team super leagues that are essentially going to operate AFC, NFC style.
Okay, so that's my point is what's the point of a conference? Well, how many is too many? If you get to a point in a conference, to me, this is where I don't like it. If you get to a point in a conference where you got 20 teams in it, what fun is it if you may go an entire athletic season and not even – it's like playing an out-of-conference game. You're not even going to have any kind of, they're in the SEC, but we haven't played them in 7 years, but they're in the SEC. There comes a point where too much is too much. Does that make sense? You're over here in a 14-team league and you can't play everybody but like once every blue moon. I just don't understand. What are they going to do in basketball? Make you play every team one time? You know what I'm saying? I
hadn't thought about that. I guess they could.
But what's the point of a conference if you're putting two conferences into one? They're going to run independently anyway. And we say, okay, it's the TV money, right? Which all comes down to money anyway. But is it even the SEC if you got 10 teams that you don't even play against? You're operating independently. I just think it's ridiculous when you're getting that many teams. I think 16's a ton. 16's too many for me.
I'm not sure what to tell you, sir.
It's not my call. Nobody gives a shit, but it is what it is. But do you understand what I'm saying?
There will definitely be 16 next year.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying though is like 16 teams. You could actually there is a way you can formulate to play everybody, but they didn't want to do that yet. They're going to wait to see how it works out in the playoff first before they go to the 9-game schedule.
They're doing that, and they're also it's also they're there's a lot here. I talked about it this morning. It's
you don't have to get in all the TV stuff.
But a lot of it is the TV thing. A lot of it is they didn't do the 9-game thing. I think for a couple reasons. One, the TV people, they're playing some hardball with them, and then two, I think because they know that there's no point in investing an absolute ton of time into something that could be obsolete in a year.
I agree. All right, but here is the other thing that bothers me about the conference realignment. It's not the realignment, it's the actions taken by the conferences themselves. A year ago, when Texas, it was SEC Media Days, nobody even knew it was coming. Just out of the blue, boom, Texas, Oklahoma jumps to SEC, and everybody's like, oh my gosh, best kept secret in all of football, right? It was really quiet for a long time. It wasn't something cooked up at a barbecue afternoon. It was something that was probably talked about for a long time. People did a good job keeping their mouth shut.
Yeah, but it had come up. It had been percolating for a while. I mean, I know I was one of the people. There were lots of people who said Texas and Oklahoma to the SEC is inevitable.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was coming last summer.
Right.
But yeah, in the same way that once that happened, you knew that USC and somebody, whether it was USC and Arizona State or USC and Arizona or USC and ultimately UCLA, you knew that USC and somebody were going to jump. They were leaving the Pac-12. It was over.
Exactly. So here's my problem. If you knew that, and you're sitting here on a podcast talking about it, the Pac-12 or the ACC a year ago knew, man, once Texas and Oklahoma jump, man, things are going to start happening. Mm-hmm. And so instead of being proactive and going after it and for survival purposes, they're being reactive. All right? Big 12, they said, man, we just lost Texas, Oklahoma. Dude, we're going to go add Houston, UCF. They just start adding. We're going to go be proactive and start adding. Oh, we're going to go get Colorado. We're going to make plans to go get people. While the Pac-12 and ACC have sat on their collective asses and not done anything. And you got the ACC over here that's about to lose. Florida State probably going to lose. Clemson, they're going to lose. I mean, Virginia's in talks. North Carolina's in talks. Of those 4 teams, somebody's not going to be there very long. Is that fair to say?
1,000,000%.
Okay. You feel good about that. So here's my point. While they're sitting on their ass, UCF packs up and goes to the Big 12. UCF is a huge university going to a Power 5 school in your footprint that you just let walk out the door. They could have added them to the ACC. They could have. They could have added South Florida.
They couldn't add anyone to the ACC without reopening the grant of rights. And if you reopened the grant of rights, those teams you just talked about were going to race out the door because they weren't going to have to even think about the penalty.
Well, they weren't going to think about it anyway.
Well, they're not. I mean, they.
You know what I'm saying? I
But
mean,
the ACC's hope was that the environment would stabilize enough so that those teams would hang on a little longer and they would make this grant of rights threat legitimate enough to scare them into staying a little longer and a little longer and a little longer. But once it got volatile, they knew they were in trouble. But their problem is the way that the contract works is if they reopen to let somebody in, others can get out without penalty.
Well, that's stupid on their part.
And if they open it up, people are bolting. I mean, bolting out of that league because of money, because of the disparity in money. The Big Ten schools, the SEC schools, what they're going to bring home annually in TV revenue is well over double what the ACC is going
absolutely.
to have. And if you do that exponentially over 10 years or 13 years, it's look, everybody's on the Florida State president yesterday. He didn't tell a lie.
No, I'm not.
He was right. Yeah. It's not sustainable. It's not acceptable if you're them.
But that's my
if you have options.
But that's my point,
and
right?
They obviously at this point, for him to talk the way that he talked, they've at least got an option. Yeah. And they're going to take it.
But it seems like to me, going back to what I was talking about, though, is ACC chose a slow death instead of taking a chance to survive. Like, they're not going to beat – I mean, like, if those teams bolt, what's next? They're going to have to open it up. They can't just keep dwindling teams,
No,
right?
they'll have to open it up. They'll have to either do some sort of a weird coalition with
Right.
what's left of the Pac-4. I mean, I don't know who's going to be left in the Pac. It's Washington State and Oregon State. I mean, that's if Wetzel's story is right. And I'm not saying it is.
What
or
did he
is
say? I missed
Wetzel
it.
said that the Big Ten is contemplating or in discussions to add Washington, Oregon, Cal, and Stanford. So the Big 12 is going to add Arizona, Arizona State, and I would assume Utah.
I agree.
So what's left of the Pac-12 could merge with the Mountain West, and maybe you join with what's left of the ACC when their guys. I don't know. I mean, look. Here's the thing. If you're in the Big Ten and you're in the SEC, you're gold. And right now, if you're in the Big 12, you're okay. You're not power 2, but you're okay. Everybody else, except with the exception of Notre Dame, scrambling. And that's why you see this. It's not panic. I've used it's a bad analogy, but it's the only one that I'm smart enough to come up with. It's the reason that I'm not working for some big company and instead I'm sitting here doing a podcast with you.
With me, thanks. Love you.
I'm kidding. It's musical chairs. Remember when you were kids?
Yes.
You played musical chairs and the music had been going for a minute. And the longer it went, the more you started thinking to yourself, they're going to stop this music in just a second. I got to get a chair. Remember that? When they just started the music, you're like, hey, we can walk for a minute because they're probably going to play the music for a few seconds here. And then the music played for 30 seconds, 40 seconds. And you get antsy because they're going to stop that music. And it's going to be a wild scramble for chairs. And you look up and you're like, I'm not in a great spot. And all of a sudden you kind of start cheating towards the inside of the circle or to block somebody's access to a chair. That's where we are.
They helped out.
It's been going a minute.
Yeah.
And
Big 12 jumped on their chair quick.
North Carolina and Duke and Virginia and Miami and Florida State, Virginia Tech, they're all going, they're watching like the teacher over there controlling the record player. For you young people, that used to be a record that went and you lift it up and the music would stop.
I'm not that freaking.
Well, that's what they're watching.
Young.
They're watching going, what's she doing? Oh, she's about to do it. And they're just getting antsy. And there's no chance that they wait till 2034 or whatever. Zero.
I'm ready for August 15th to be over here so people can start talking about something else. It's driving me nuts. All right, Neal. I know you've probably paid attention to this, or you probably saw it yesterday. So a lot of details are starting to come out about this Iowa and Iowa State sports gambling investigation.
Just for the record, I'm very disappointed in the Hawkeyes because that's not who we are.
So the kicker for Iowa, the quarterback got busted. You know, his name came out. I guess he was. I don't know if he wasn't a starter.
He wasn't a starter.
But the kicker for Iowa.
And if you couldn't be the starting quarterback at Iowa, I mean, I don't blame you for betting because you're not playing in the NFL anytime soon.
How about this? This was I almost chuckled a little bit, but I shouldn't. The kicker, I think it was the kicker for Iowa, placed a wager on the under of the Iowa State game last year. Remember we were joking about how low it was?
Yeah.
He placed a wager on the under
game.
Yeah. Look, I want to bring this up. There seems to be some confusion about everybody's like, oh, I can't believe they did this and that and all this stuff. So let me explain. This is real simple. This is not difficult to understand. The NCAA has very unique betting rules, okay? Whether you're a player, coach, staff member, athletic department, it doesn't matter. You cannot wager, okay, on any sport, professional or otherwise, that has the NCAA has a championship in. So if the NCAA has a sport in that, you cannot wager. So you can't bet on Major League Baseball. You can't bet on the NBA. You can't bet on pro football.
Professional water skiing.
Whatever you have, you can't. But you could bet on UFC. You know, you could bet on boxing.
Mm-hmm.
You could bet on, horse racing. You can bet on. There's so many things that are on those apps that you can bet on.
Sure.
You just can't bet on NCAA sports. bet on any sport that the NCAA has. And kids will work the system. Every rule that you've ever had in the NCAA, kids are going to try to work the system. That's what they do. They do it everything they want to do. Well, now the problem is it's not wagering on games, it's the apps and them having access to the apps. They think that they can come up with some kind of way to be cloak and dagger with these apps and to make wagers. You can't go to they're scared to go to the casinos and place wagers because all the cameras and everything else. They think they can get away with it through the apps. And so the apps are the problem when it comes to all this sports betting and everything that's going on. But here, it's just weird, man. And then you got the NFL. And my man Clay Karcher was telling me this, I guess it was yesterday. How about this in the NFL? So you can't wager inside the facility, right? That's a big rule.
Right.
All right. How crazy is this? You could be, let's say, let me think. Well, all right, the Las Vegas Raiders.
Okay.
All right. So let's say you play quarterback for the Las Vegas Raiders.
All right.
And you want to go place a wager on Alabama to beat Auburn by they're -6. You want to take Alabama to cover.
Okay.
All right. On Saturday afternoon, when you get done with work, you get done at your walkthrough, you can take your happy ass down to the casino and place a wager, $1,000 wager on Alabama to cover to beat Auburn.
Okay.
Be perfectly legal.
Of course. I can go to Caesar's Palace,
MGM. Wherever you wanted to.
Yep.
However, let's say you were the New England Patriots and you flew in on Saturday and you're staying at the hotel. You can't get in an Uber and go down to the same exact casino and place the bet at all. Now it's illegal because once you're on a work trip, it's illegal. Because as soon as you left on the plane in New England, you're now considered to be part of the facility or be a part of the work trip. You're on a work trip.
Okay.
So two guys can place a wager on the exact same thing at the exact same time. One get banned from the NFL, and one not.
So the moral of the story is play for the Raiders.
The moral of the story is play for the Raiders, right? But here's the serious part of it is this is nothing new. Players know the rules, and to say people don't educate. To say Campbell didn't educate, okay, or to say the Iowa coaches don't educate the kids, that's not true. It gets shoved down your throat. Every single March Madness, you get an email, you get emails, you get speeches, you get people coming and remind you 45 times a year to don't bet on sports because that is one thing that they will bust your ass over.
Yep.
All right. And as a coach, you know how much fun I have now betting on games and things like that. Never even thought about it. There's two rules that I did not play with when I coached. All right? 2 rules that I did not even think about playing with. I never got behind a vehicle if I had 1 sip of alcohol. Not 1 sip. If I literally had 1 sip of alcohol, I never got behind the wheel of a car because if I got pulled over and even had a question, if I was drunk or had a DUI or was over the limit, I lost my job and a career. That's a no-brainer. So that's one thing I never did. 1 sip. I mean, you saw when we had I'm still like that. When we had our deal over here, I don't play with that. I always had somebody drive me. All right. And number 2 is you don't bet on sports. Right. Because they will bust your ass. That's one of the 2 things. So the moral of the story is don't be a dumbass. I mean, that's the moral of the story is we're sitting here going, oh, it's the society we live in, right? It's the app's fault. It's the coach's fault for not education. No, it's the kid's fault for being a dumbass. It's sooner or later the people in this country that screw up have to take accountability for what they're doing. It drives me nuts. I don't understand why we do this, but at the end of the day, that's what it is. And it's not on the coaches. It's not on the administration. It's not on anybody at the university. It's not on the apps. They know the rules. They broke the rules. I mean, period. And they get shoved down your throat. So it's not like you don't know. It's kind of like if you get a speeding ticket and you're going 95, I guarantee you knew the speed limit was 75 or 70 or wherever you live. All right. You got anything else on that? How you feel about your Iowa Hawkeyes?
I mean, I think they're good. I think they're going to be better. They're going to go 8-4 again. That's what they do.
All right.
I'll watch my share of Big Ten football again.
All right. Last thing I got before I get you riled up. I got my thing I'm going to get you riled up. It's not on the list. I did that on purpose. Last thing I got before I get you riled up. Our 1 minute segment. on things that Neal does not care about.
Okay.
We're going to start. We need to get this thing sponsored, the 1 minute things that you don't care about.
That'd be good.
One is Justin Thomas is playing in the Wyndham Championship this weekend. Really had a rough year. I like the guy. He's a fiery competitor, and he has just hit the skids in his golf game. He has to basically win almost to get in the FedEx Cup playoffs. This guy was number 1 in the world like a year ago, and he has fallen to where he's probably not going to make the FedEx. He's not going to be top 70 to make it. And it's just mental, man. I mean, he'll go out and throw a 62 in one day and an 82 the next. I mean, it's sad to see a guy struggle because I love the guy as a competitor. I mean, he's always been the mentally tough guy. He's struggling mentally playing the game, but I think he shot even par today. He's got to do well. And then the last thing on the things that Neal doesn't care about that I'm really upset about, UFC Fight Night is in Nashville. National TV, Bridgestone Regions. It's going to be Saturday.
Saturday night.
So if you are in the Nashville area, which we have a ton of people that listen to us.
Lots
and lots of people that listen to us in that area.
We do really well in Nashville.
Do yourself a favor and go to the UFC fight in Bridgestone Arena on Saturday night. I'm so upset that I can't go.
Why are you not going?
My son's got something I got to take him to.
Okay.
That I can't get out of.
All right.
And he was who I want to go with anyway. He's my tag team partner on UFC. And but he's got something he's got to do.
Okay.
The best sporting event I have ever witnessed in my life is going to a UFC fight.
In Dallas.
Yeah. UFC fights, period, are just freaking, it's awesome, man. It's like it's just high energy juice the whole time. Like you're exhausted when you leave.
Will Rogan be there?
I don't know. He usually doesn't do the fight nights. He does pay-per-views.
Oh, okay.
So this is on TV. You can watch it, Neal.
All right.
Jessica Andrade, I think, is she's the co-main, and she's a good female fighter. But they got the upper echelon ranked fighters in there. But it's going to be if you're in that area, do yourself a favor and go. I think it's already sold out. You'll have to get them on the secondary market. It's been sold out for 3 or 4 weeks. So
it's obviously a huge sport. I mean, it's really growing.
I got to get you to a fight. This is one I could have got you to, and then I got something to do. I guarantee you I could have got you to, and I just, gosh dang it, I got something I got to do. It really is upsetting that I've got on a plane to go watch one, and I can't get in the car and go watch one. It's killing me. But anyway, all right, you want to get your route up?
Sure.
Your Chicago Cubs are hosting my Atlanta Braves this weekend.
Yes.
And then Friday
night. Still got to play Cincinnati first one more time.
But Friday night, fresh off the DL, my man Max Fried is coming back to pitch against the Cubs on Friday.
Oh, great.
Night.
That's awesome.
So
yay.
He's making his debut.
How long has he been out?
Since I think he had 5 starts before he got hurt. So a while.
Maybe. He'll be on a pitch count.
I'm sure he's been throwing pretty good. I mean, they've extended him a little bit, stretched him out a little bit in the minors, but he's been down there for a little bit pitching. So I don't know. We'll see.
My hope for the Cubs is that they win tonight and then just get one against the Braves. Just find one. Somehow, some way, one game.
They'll do that. The Cubs are playing good.
Cubs are playing great. Cubs are trying to think. Going back to the St. Louis series, they've won. I guess it goes back to the National series. They took 2 out of 3 from the National. They took 3 out of 4 from the Cardinals. Swept the White Sox. Took 3 out of 4 from the Cardinals, and now they've taken 2 of 3 from Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And it's a Friday afternoon game, by the way. All the games this weekend are afternoon games.
Really?
Yeah.
Friday afternoon?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Some ordinances in Chicago about weekend night games. I can only remember like one Friday night game that they've played.
Why can't you play at night in Chicago?
Have you ever been to Wrigley?
No.
Okay, Wrigley's in the middle of a neighborhood, and that neighborhood is it's
They
pretty.
complain about the lights.
It's not the lights. It's the noise. It's the people parking on the street. It's just kind of chaotic after games at Wrigley when all the people are spilling out to get to the L.
Yep.
A lot of the people go straight to the bars, like on Clark and stuff, and then a lot of people congregate to get to the L, and it's a little chaotic in that 30 minutes to an hour after a Cubs game, and they don't want that at nighttime in that neighborhood.
When I coached at St. Paul's
on a weekend,
when I coached at St. Paul's, it's in the middle of Spring Hill.
mm-hmm.
And when the time changed and it starts getting dark at 4:30 in the afternoon in Mobile, you have to turn the lights on at practice.
Yeah.
Never failed. Got at least 10 light complaints.
Really?
And oh yeah. Yeah, at least 10 night complaints.
Well, and that's the part of Mobile that has a little bit of money right
Hello.
there.
So, excuse me. What I was trying to do was I was enjoying my old fashioned on the back porch.
This is my son, Couple. Not Cooper. Couple.
he had a bow tie on. I was it kind of, jacked me up. But we had that.
Would you like a gin and tonic? We'd like for you to turn your lights off, please. It's disconcerting. It's taking away from the ambiance here at the club in Mobile. Yeah. Would you like to join me at the club?
Yeah, so we got our eyes drilled out about that one. You know what else? I was thinking about this today before we get out of here. A lot of heat problems with athletes and things, a lot more now than there used to be.
Yeah.
And the number one reason, and I was just talking about you with running a minute ago, the number one reason that you're having heat problems in high school sports and heat problems in college on game days and things like that is you're not conditioning yourself. This is a problem now.
Yeah.
It legitimately is a problem. You're not conditioning yourself. I'm talking about like coaches aren't conditioning their teams to go through those conditions. And so they're running and they spend all summer running early in the morning or they are running late at night. Okay.
Right.
And then they wonder why they practice at 2:30 in the afternoon while they're falling out. If I was a high school coach.
I mean, I told you this, like for me, the last few weeks, I've been running super early.
Yeah.
And like Laura sets the alarm for 5:30 and she goes walks. And I'm 6:05 getting out the door to run. And it's okay. I mean, you get hot. But on Sunday, it rained 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. And like an idiot, I should have just gone out and ran in the rain. That would have been much more pleasant. But you've been in my neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
There's some areas where it's like there's almost like on the sidewalks, it's like almost algae.
Yeah.
A little bit. And when it's wet, it's real slippery.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I don't want to risk falling because I've slipped
a
couple of times. And so, I waited till it kind of dried up a little bit. I ended up not starting my run until about 9:30 in the morning. And so when I finished, it was like 10. The run I was going to do was 65 minutes. Which I've been doing that run for weeks. So running 65 minutes was not the issue. But I was 55, 54, 55, 56 minutes in. And that difference in heat between 10:30 in the morning and 7 in the morning was palpable. I mean, and it scared me. I told you this. I mean, I kept thinking to myself, you're okay, you're okay, you're okay. And then I quickly kind of realized you're not okay. I mean, the chills hit a little bit, kind of got nauseous. And luckily there was a neighbor outside who was like watering plants and stuff. And I was like, hey, can I please borrow your hose?
Yeah. But you got like, I'm always been a big believer that if you're a morning practice team, that was my only concern about being a morning practice team going through it. Now, if you're the Big Ten, if I was in the Big Ten and 99.9% of my games were 11 a.m., cool, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Let's practice in the morning.
Right.
And in the early part of the year, it doesn't matter, right? Because you're practicing 11 a.m., you're good. But if you're if you're playing at 2:30 in the afternoon, the first 4 games of the year, you better go through camp practicing outside. You got to condition yourself. You can't just go inside all camp and then go out there in 110-degree heat index and go knock them out, kiddo.
No, of course not.
It affects people.
So what do you do?
Like I'll give you an example. I was thinking about this morning.
What would you do? Slowly acclimate to the heat?
I would spend, if it was me, I would spend the early part of camp killing them. And what I mean by early part of camp is now high school kids they started today. But in college, I would spend the early part of camp when you don't have classes. Man, I'm freaking. We're going at 2:30. We're going to get you accustomed to the heat early. Okay, and then the
But
game week.
can you get the work in though like that? Because
Yeah,
they're
they'll
going to
get
start
used to it.
dropping.
They'll get used to it.
Okay.
They don't. That's the thing is you'll drop early. Everywhere I've been, you have kids who are heat problems. It doesn't matter if it's 74 degrees outside or if it's 94 degrees. The same kids are going to struggle.
Yeah.
Okay. Especially if you got a sickle cell kid, you always got to keep an eye on them no matter what. Like if you have a kid that has sickle cell, first of all, you have to have training, know to recognize the signs. But to me, it was really easy. I probably coached 4 or 5 of them over the years. I would know and stretch if they were having it's almost like asthma. They just have days sometimes that they're tired before they even get started kind of deal. So you would have to protect them. But with heat kids, that they're going to have problems anyway, and you protect them, but everybody else is fine, but you have to condition because once you get it in the game, it's too late.
Yeah.
Like when we played, I don't know if it was my first year or my second year at Alabama, but we played Texas A&M, like a 2:30 CBS game, like week 3. We had a bye week off. We played a game, had a bye week before our second game, third week of the season. We're playing, it was a 2:30 CBS game.
So SEC was worried you guys might lose, and so they're giving you a bye week to get.
I'll tell you what, I think it was my first. Yeah, I think it was my first. You're probably right. It was the SEC in collaboration because they hate everybody else, but Alabama.
Yeah. So was this a Manziel's year?
Yes. So I think
so they
lost the year before. They beat Alabama.
They were concerned you could lose. They had to make sure they had the right referee crew.
Yes, they had the right crew. They all had to graduate from Alabama or be residing in Birmingham area.
Right. Preferably in businesses that required sales.
Yes, and we're in business with Alabama, the University of Alabama.
Right.
And I think 2 of them owned a Mercedes dealership that eventually partnered with Nick Saban.
Stands to reason.
Yeah, so I think that's the case, right? They only threw flags against Texas A&M too. We had no penalties that game, and Texas A&M had 27.
Holding,
so, all holding calls after touchdowns. Gotcha. Like the guy crossed the end zone, and then they threw the flag because it was a conspiracy.
Had he not scored, they wouldn't have called it.
Had nothing to do with it was a conspiracy.
Yeah.
All right, so we just got canceled. All right, but anyway, long story short is we practiced every day at 2:30 outside. We did not go inside at all. And Nick was always really good about, hey, we'll go inside, protect our legs and all that stuff. Not them 2 weeks. It was hot. We did not go inside until Friday. We were outside the whole time to condition to the heat, and we did not have any heat problems that game. I think it had something to do with it.
Yeah. Yesterday, Wednesday, Ole Miss practiced, and they.
What time are they practicing?
I mean, it's a morning practice, but they don't start outside until it's 10.
Oh, they're good. As long as you get done around.
And they go till noon.
Yeah.
Ish. And it was interesting. It was the same thing. A couple of guys. Aiden Williams was one of them. The freshman wide receiver is really talented. Couple of guys kind of all of a sudden at the end of practice cramped. I mean, locked up, you know, and they just.
Well, a lot of that when you have.
But it was that deal where and they do I mean, I give him credit, a lot of credit for it. They, like everybody, I'm sure, but they have a halftime at practice.
Yeah.
Where they get underneath the tents and they have the fans blowing and they have, water and Gatorade and the frozen stuff and fruit, and obviously everything's designed on rehydrating because you're going to have a halftime, and then you come back out and they don't kind of gradually go back into it. They come back out and go.
Yeah.
And so, but it was very, very late in practice. They probably had a period and a half, 2 periods left, and they were starting to have some humidity, heat issues.
Most of your issues when you have cramps and heat issues a lot of times in practice, again, you know who your guys are that some guys will have issues their whole career. They do. But a lot of your issues are your young guys because they don't know how to eat properly. Like not cramping and not being a heat problem is more than just drinking water.
Yeah. It's what you consumed over the last 24 hours.
Especially at that level. Okay. It's not, and I will go back to it again. It's not for everybody. You don't have a constitutional right to play the game. You got to be, some of it's mental toughness. You got to push through. There's been some phantom cramps, to get out of work and things like that. And those guys don't make it very long. But I think those guys, in my opinion, once they figure it out, like the receivers, Aiden Williams, you said cramped up.
Yeah.
Once he figures it out, he'll be fine.
Oh yeah,
But
No,
like he will be better the next time.
Well, it was
'cause
his-
he
it
knows
was his
what he
first.
did.
It was his first college practice. Let's be real.
And anxiety,
the
plays a part
adrenaline
of it
was
too.
probably pumping.
Anxiety
a little bit
plays
at the
a
beginning.
part in it. 100% plays a part in it. 100%.
Yeah, his didn't happen for lack of effort. He left it all out there on the field that day. That kid's good.
Yeah, I saw some video of him. I told you this before we
Mhm.
started. I saw some video of him. I don't know. You may have took it. I don't know. But I saw some video of him running. I've watched all kinds of camp videos this week. I don't know how to describe this. I call it the gait.
Mm-hmm.
I'm weird. I know.
GAIT gate.
GAIT gate, not
Right.
GATE gate, as the way they run.
Right.
Maybe I'm weird. I don't know. Well, not maybe. I know I'm weird on some things. I can look at the way a kid runs, and I can't describe it to you, and I can tell you if that guy is going to be really good or not, or is athletically talented. He's got the gait.
Yeah, he's really good. This is
Of all the guys I watched, Neal, he was the one. And then when I told you this, I don't know. I can't tell you for anybody asked me. I don't know who the other ones were that I watched on video.
right.
He was the only one I saw that had the gait.
Yeah, he stood out. Yeah, I've told you this many times because you used to come up to me and go, "What do you think about so and so?" I'm like, "Dude, I don't know, football player." But there's a handful of guys that like really jump out when you see them the first time, and he was one.
Yeah, he's got it. He'll be a good player.
All right, we'll leave it there. We'll come back on Monday. Get even closer to the start of the season. We still got to figure out what my punishment's going to be when I lose the betting competition.
We had some good nominees.
There were some.
I had one that was not discussed that somebody brought up at the office.
Okay.
The loser has to enter into the U.S. Open qualifiers and has to go try to qualify for the Open U.S. Open.
Can you imagine?
Yes, I
Come
can.
on.
You have to play 18 holes, play it down, and your poor playing partner. He'd probably be pretty pissed.
I mean, that guy would be so pissed off.
We can put in a fake handicap. I know a guy at the country club. We can get you a handicap to get you in. Or I can get it. We can all get
Well, then the guy's going to kill me.
Huh?
I mean, I'm going to shoot a 170.
I know. We'll just tell him to tee you off by yourself.
Then I won't be able to find the ball. I mean, I'll be out there till.
I'll caddy for you.
Yeah, I'm sure you would.
So that was one. You won't do the any eating, right? Is that what you said? One of them mentioned the Waffle House, 24 hours. You get an hour off if you eat a waffle.
God.
Somebody mentioned that. Somebody mentioned the ACT.
No, I'm not taking the ACT again. I've done that.
Instead of being dumped over the head of mayonnaise, it was like a 55-gallon drum full of mayonnaise, like a mayonnaise bath.
The whole Waffle House thing that's doable. We could talk about that. That would be brutal for me, but
Dwight said one fantasy loser had to fly 7 flights around the world consecutively. That would
oh
be,
my God.
like, how long does that take? That's I mean, to fly around the world's a full day, right? At least.
I mean, the funny one that Ryan Brown and them did was you had to do plane, train, bus. So you go to the airport, you don't know where you're going. You don't find out where you're going until you get to the airport to check in. You open an envelope, you find out where you're going. And once you get to that place, to get back, you have to incorporate train, plane, and bus to get home. That was funny. And ended up being harder than.
Where'd they go? Or where'd they start at?
Flew them out to someplace in Kansas.
Austin with a super chat said if Neal loses, he has a live stream react to watch the 2003 Marlins Cub Game 6.
Well, see, I'm over that game now because they won. And I've justified it in my head by one of the cool things about the Cubs winning in 2016 was my kids were old enough to share it with me. And Carson went with me to Game 3 in Chicago. And so in my mind, whenever I see the Game sick stuff happen. Now I go, well, I'm kind of glad that happened because had that not happened, 2016 wouldn't have been as special, blah, blah, blah. I know I'm kind of lying to myself, but I can now watch that game somewhat analytically. Took a long time.
They didn't take 13 years, right?
About 13 years.
Right around. Exactly 13 years.
Yeah, I mean, a little over 13 years. 13 years in about a week. Yeah, that's what it took. That game, that's the worst.
Yeah, the guys that are saying wear the Trump shirts or to
You just might get hurt.
You're
asking to get hurt.
I'm being dead serious when I say this. Somebody brought that up. Somebody said go to even in my office said wear a Biden-Harris 2024 shirt and film yourself wear a GoPro at the Talladega race. Like that would be. I would worry about you being physically harmed.
I would worry about me being physically harmed.
There's some crazy people there.
Well, there's just crazy people everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. We've got some ideas that.
You want to see if we can find a really cold bowl game on the day of signing day next year? You want to do that?
Jesus. Yeah.
I want to see the.
Yeah, because this year I've got a recruiting guy. It'd be his. I'll be like, hey, Luker, you've got this on signing day, bud.
Go to the Bahamas Bowl. That'd be punishment. Brought to you by Popeyes.
What is the bowl schedule? Let's see what the bowl schedule is this year.
This is gonna be great.
What is signing day? What's that?
It's always the I'll tell you as soon as I look at it. I'll look at the calendar. It's always third Wednesday in February.
All right, so we got
December.
So it's Wednesday the 20th. Is that?
That sounds right.
Wednesday the 20th is signing day. There are no bowls on signing day this year. The day before, there's the Scooters Coffee Frisco Bowl in Frisco, Texas. The day after, Thursday the 21st, there's the roofclaim.com Boca Raton Bowl in
I wonder if we could get a fishing trip out of that one.
FAU. Stop. Stop.
I could bring a list of guys to call.
The Idaho Bowl is not till December the 23rd this year. No,
no.
That's
guys,
a no go.
Guys, fun trip.
That was a fun trip, but that's a no go.
Was the Las Vegas Bowl?
I was looking for the Vegas Bowl. The Vegas Bowl. When is the Vegas Bowl? There we go. Nope, that's not it. Here we go. Vegas Bowl is Saturday, December the 23rd.
Hey, what if we dressed the loser up like Santa Claus and you had to go to everywhere where there was just go to a random place and set up a chair and see how many people would come take a picture with Santa Claus?
That would be funny.
Go sit up in the middle of Walmart or something, just some random place.
The problem with those games, the Birmingham Bowl is on December 23rd. The Camellia Bowl in Montgomery, same day. Why would you do that? Why would you have a game in Birmingham and Montgomery kicking off at the exact same time 2 days before Christmas?
Same time?
Same time. Both games begin at 11 a.m. Central Time. I was looking for games between Christmas and New Year's that might work.
That'd be fun.
I mean, there's a bunch.
Dress you up as Santa Claus and just put you in a square and see how many people come sit in your lap.
On Faulkner's bench over there.
How long would it take for the police to come go? What's wrong with you?
Not long. You'd have to clear it with the police. You'd have to
have the police there.
You may have to have the police there because otherwise, I mean, it's a little creepy. Hey, kitty.
Put a little bowl of candy outside.
Hey, little guy.
And look. No, here's what we'll do. You get you a big chair, get you dressed up like Santa Claus, have your bowl of candy, and then we'll rent a white van with no windows and park it right next. You'll be sitting right next to there with the back door open, with a roll of duct tape in your lap.
That's good. That's a good way to get shot. No. No, the loser has to live in Mobile for a month from the Mobile Bowl to the Senior Bowl.
No.
Sorry.
Love Mobile, but I'm not.
I like it, but not that much. Dress up as Santa Claus at an obesity camp. That's just mean.
Golly, coming in hard today. All right, if you got ideas, hit us up on social media. The DMs, by the way, are open on social media. So if you got any ideas, hit us up on social media at McCready and Siskey Show, and we'll get one of these set up here before too long.
Yep. All right. For Tyler, I'm Neal. Talk to you guys on Monday. Thanks for being in the stream. Thanks for listening. Thanks for hitting the like button and all of those things. We'll talk.